What is up, everybody? Back with another top 10 here today. And with this one, I'm going to be talking about my 10 favorite female-fronted metal bands. So a lot of really good ones to choose from. We'll get my honorable mentions at the end as usual. Here we go. Starting off the list at number 10 is going to be Nervosa. Really good, pretty modern band from Brazil. They formed in 2010, and they got 4 full-length studio albums. The first 3 had Fernanda Lira fronting the band, who I love. Her screams and growls are just freaking crazy. Remind me a bit of Chuck Schuldiner from Death. Super cool voice, great bass player as well. The guitar playing on all this stuff is really good from Prika, who is the sole original member in the band currently, because Fernanda and the drummer Luana left to form the band Crypta, who are great as well, but they only have 1 album, so a little early for them to get on a list like this, maybe in the future. But Diva Satanica is fronting the band now. She's awesome as well. I do like Fernanda a bit better. Both awesome, though. All 4 of these albums are really good. I really do like Downfall of Mankind. That's probably my favorite, and that was the last one with Fernanda. So kind of unfortunate that they broke up after that album, but great stuff. Kill the Silence, maybe my favorite song by them, but a lot of good stuff in this discography. Hopefully they keep going with Diva Satanica, and the band just continues on putting out good stuff. But awesome band, kind of reminds me of Sepultura, classic stuff mixed with some death, really thrashy death metal. So go check them out if you don't know them. Nervosa, number 10. Next up at number 9 is Phantom Blue, a really cool underrated band that formed back in 1987 in Los Angeles, California. So American band here, all female again, same as Nervosa, not just female fronted, whole band, all girls. Great musicians here. The first album came out in 1989, self-titled, and it was through Shrapnel Records, which was the label that was putting out a lot of the super shreddy stuff in the late 80s, early 90s, Marty Friedman's first solo album, Jason Becker's first solo album, the Cacophony albums, which was Marty and Jason, just shred fest. Racer X was on there, Richie Kotzen's first couple of albums. So these girls could definitely play with the best of them, as far as guitar playing goes. The vocals are freaking awesome from Gigi Hangich. I gotta look at her last name there. Kind of tough to pronounce. Hangach. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but really good, powerful voice. So the first album, nice shredding going on from the guitar players. Michelle Norum, who was actually married to John Norum, the guitarist from Europe. He played on a Dokken album, the Don Dokken solo album. She unfortunately passed away, but she was a really great guitarist on both of these albums. And the first album had another girl named Nicole Couch was the second guitarist. But then in 1993, a couple of years moved forward, they got a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, kind of a bit of an Alice in Chains feel to me, like if Alice in Chains were girls. Still remains some of that, classic metal shred mixed in there, but a bit heavier and darker for sure. They were on Geffen, and Roadrunner was the European release of that album, but not a ton of material here. But those 2 albums are really good. For me personally, good enough to get on this list. Phantom Blue, go check them out. Great underrated band, number 9. Coming in at number 8 is Hellion, a great classic heavy metal band here from Los Angeles. Again, they formed in the early 80s, fronted by Ann Bolan, who is definitely one of the very best singers I'm going to talk about on this list. Just super powerful voice, hits some amazing high screams, just super badass, especially on the debut album, Screams in the Night. That is just kind of just epitomizes classic 80s heavy metal, mixed with a bit of speed metal, but super awesome. Definitely recommend to check out that one. The Black Book from 1990, their second album, is really good as well. And then they released one a little bit later on, which came out in 2003, called Will Not Go Quietly. That one quite good as well, even though it came out a bit later. Still has a great classic 80s feel to it. The band is still currently together. Haven't released anything since 03 as far as full lengths go. But amazing and fantastic singer. The guitar work is really great all over these albums as well. check them out. Y'all might know them already, but Hellion, amazing band, number 8. Next up at number 7 is Opera 9, a really great band from Italy. They formed back in 1988. For the most part, they blend like symphonic black metal and gothic black metal together. Super cool sound, very dark, and pretty eerie and creepy atmosphere. So with this, they got 8 full-length studio albums. 5 of them have a girl fronting the band, 3 different girls, and then the other 3 albums have 2 different guys fronting. So a lot of people in and out of the band. Osian is the guitarist's name, or that's his stage name. He's been the only constant member. He is a really good guitar player, great melodies, great riffs, great tone. But my favorite is the first 3 with Cadaveria on vocals. Super awesome voice, very powerful, does a blend of clean and more gruff, like typical black metal style vocals, which she does both great. Some of her stuff sounds like a freaking like classic 80s thrash metal singer. A lot of really cool stuff with her on vocals. And then with the most recent 2 albums, the 2015 one, Back to Sepulchro, and then 2018 was called The Gospel. There's 2 different girls here, but they got the same last name. It's just their stage names, though, so I don't think they're actually sisters. I don't know what the deal is with that, but the girl from 2015's album was named Abigail Dianaria, and then this one that's currently in the band is named Dipsis Dianaria. Is the stage names they're going by, so I don't know what the story is with that exactly, but both are really good. The Gospel is a fantastic album, but their main like standout album is called The Black Opera from 2000. Love that one. Cadaveria is insane on the vocals, just super awesome. Symphonic, gothic, black metal, which I had on my top 50 black metal albums of all time. So that's how much I like it. Super cool band here, Opera 9, a lot of good stuff here at number 7 for me. Coming in at number 6 is Assagram, super amazing band, pretty modern. They formed in 2015. Only have 2 albums to this point, but they're both amazing, so got them pretty high up on the list here. Debut came out in 2017 called Protestus Magicum Diaboli, which I had on my top 50 black metal albums of all time. It's that good. And the next album that came out, the most recent one's called Dawn of Infinite Fire. Both fantastic. They've got only like 2 official members in the group. The main girl's name is Obscura. She does guitar, bass, and vocals. Her voice, just super cool. Sounds so evil and dark and amazing. Fits the music perfectly. She's from the Netherlands. It's kind of like an international band. Some members are from Norway. They, of course, have more members when they play live, but on the albums, it's just mainly Obscura and whichever drummer. They have different drummer on each of the first 2 albums, but Obscura is amazing. This band is amazing. If you like classic melodic black metal, go check this out. It is fantastic. Assagram, my number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Acid, really awesome classic speed metal band here from Belgium. They formed back in 1980. Only 3 full-length studio albums. All of them came out in the 80s, but all of them are really good. The first 2 especially, Maniac and the self-titled album. Absolute freaking stone cold classic speed metal albums. Really dark, eerie, creepy atmosphere on those. Kind of satanic lyrical themes, which help add to that atmosphere. The band is fronted by Kate De Lombard, who is really good. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Doro Pesch, just kind of her vocal delivery and accent a little bit. I know they're not from the same country, but both Europeans kind of sound a little bit similar to me. Just those 2 voices in particular. And yeah, the album from 1985, actually, Engine Beast, is really good as well. Like STC, the first song on it's freaking awesome. Halloween Queen. Some of their other standout tracks, like Black Car, has a music video, I believe. Got Satan has a really good song. The self-titled song from the first album, song's called Acid. Reminds me a little bit of, I would say, The Conjuring, just the way it starts up there with a little guitar tapping. Maybe Dave Mustaine took some influence, who knows, but really, really cool song and a lot of good stuff in this discography. All three of these albums are pretty stacked, so go check them out. Acid, number 5. Next up at number 4 is Darken Nocturne Slaughter Cult. Great black metal here. They've got 6 full-length studio albums. The band is primarily German, but the front woman, Onilar, is from Poland, she is freaking incredible. Her stage outfit is freaking insane, too. She wears this, like, white dress, and just what she does, she'll, like, bite this blood, fake blood, obviously, but it's all red going down. She just looks freaking like she's possessed. Looks insane, super cool, super creepy and dark. The music is amazing as well. Nocturnal March from 2004, one of my favorite black metal albums of all time. I did have it in my top 50. Her voice is just super powerful and dark and creepy and just amazing. She's super impressive. She also plays guitar, which is freaking awesome. But another standout album out of these 6, I would probably go with Saldorian Spell as my second favorite, but a lot of really good stuff all throughout the discography. Most of the stuff is awesome, but great band overall. Onilar is a freaking badass, and this band is badass. Darken Nocturne Slaughter Cult, number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Warlock, a great classic band from Germany, formed back in 1983. They were only together for about 7 years, up until 1989, and they broke up, but 4 full-length studio albums in that time. Of course, they're fronted by the great Doro Pesch. Love her voice, pretty powerful. I love kind of the German accent tint you can hear when she's singing, even though it's in English. You can definitely hear her accent, which I think gives a pretty cool, unique sound, which there's several German bands that have that cool, like, little accent you can hear, obviously. That's their home country. Like Scorpions, you can definitely hear that with Klaus when he's singing. I think it sounds super cool, especially with Doro, which this band is fantastic overall. The guitar playing, always amazing. Some speed metal elements mixed in, especially on the first album, Burning the Witches from '84. The opening song reminds me a lot of Free Will Burning. It's called Sign of Satan. Fantastic song. Dark Fate is awesome from that album, the title track, and then you got Hellbound, which is a really good album, great title track. Triumph and Agony, they're probably maybe their most popular album, definitely has their most popular song, All We Are. Great sing-along song, cool to see at concerts when Doro does her solo shows, gets the crowd going singing that, but yeah, awesome band. Would have been cool if they had released more, but these 4 albums are all really good. Great classic stuff. Warlock, number 3.
Strike out, move on forward. It's all there for you and I.
Next up at number 2 is Chastain, another great classic band here. They formed in 1984. A lot of really good stuff. They're one of my all-time favorites. They've had 2 different girls fronting the band. The main one is the great Leather Leone, who is one of my favorite singers in general. I had her in my top 10 favorite metal vocalists. Doesn't matter if we're talking about just girls, just top 10 overall. She is there. Super amazing, powerful voice. Kind of reminds me of Ronnie James Dio. I have often compared her to Dio, kind of the female version of him, same kind of vocal delivery style, same like super powerful type voice. She's on the first 5 albums with Chastain. Then she was out of the band for a while. They had a different girl named Kate French, who was also pretty good. Those albums aren't quite as good as the first 5, obviously. First 5 are just classic speed, US power metal, traditional metal mix. David T. Chastain on guitar is a freaking monster. One of the all-time great underrated shredders. Don't know why he's not talked about more, because he is insane on guitar. And then after those 3 albums with Kate, they had 2 more in the 2010s, like 2013 and 2015. We Bleed Metal was one of them, and Surrender to No One, which Leather came back for, which was pretty cool. But those first 5, everything from Mystery of Illusion up through For Those Who Dare, are all really good. I love Voice of the Cult, The Seventh of Never, Ruler of the Wasteland. All of them are fantastic. So if you don't know them, you need to go check them out if you like classic heavy metal. Chastain, my number 2. And before I get to my number 1, got some honorable mentions as usual. I listed down Femme Fatale, even though they just had the one album back in the 80s. Really good stuff. Kind of glam metal type album there. Lee Aaron, the solo Lee Aaron band, great Canadian singer. Hard rock metal mix, you know, Metal Queen is her big song from the mid-80s there. Really good stuff. Girl School, new wave of British heavy metal type band there. Ransom, which was a kind of glam metal type band that had, I believe, 2 albums. I've got one of them on cassette tape. I should have grabbed it. It's sitting over there. But really good stuff from the early 90s. That came along a little bit too late. That 80s hard rock, glam metal type sound was dying out a bit by then. Lita Ford, of course, great. Love most of her solo stuff up through like 1991. Really good front woman there. Let's see here. Rock Goddess is a pretty underrated good band, which I've conveniently got this sitting right here. I think they were part of the new wave of British heavy metal too. I could be wrong, but came up in that same time from England. Maybe a bit more on the hard rock side, but whatever. Let's see what else I got here. Vixen, another good classic, you know, glam metal type band. Of course, there are a lot of these bigger bands that I'm not super into, but obviously, you know, I'm sure people are going to be commenting, where's Nightwish? Where is Arch Enemy? And all these bands, you know, I don't love them personally. They are pretty good. I recognize, obviously, they're popular. They got their fans. That's cool. Just for me, not in my personal top 10. Lacuna Coil, Epica, all these bands, you know, don't hate them, just don't love them enough to put in my top 10. There's a lot of really good female-fronted Japanese bands that have been coming up recently in the last, like, 10, 15 years or so, which, like, Galmet is a really good kind of melodic death metal type band that came up in that movement. Well, I don't know if it's all really the same movement. The more modern ones are, like, power metal-y, like Aldius, Mary's Blood, Love Bites are some pretty good ones. And, of course, there's Baby Metal, who you can debate on that. I like them. They're pretty good. I've seen them twice live, mainly because of the backing band is just freaking insane musicians, but the girls are good at what they do too, so gonna give them an honorable mention. But yeah, that's all I've got for the honorable mentions. Of course, Heart, which is obviously more on hard rock side, is a great classic band that came up in the 70s, classic hard rock. But on to my number 1. Get a world society with makes up your mind. Tears for freedom, camouflage, Sunday situation. Learn to sing for yourself, and survive depressions. And taking the number 1 spot is Holy Moses. Love this band. They are in my top 15 all-time out of anyone. Got the great Sabina Klassen on vocals, who is just insane on vocals. If I didn't tell you beforehand that it was a girl, you definitely would not know. She has a super powerful voice, super freaking insane growls and screams. It's really aggressive thrash metal, and the vocals kind of lean a bit more towards death metal at times. Just super awesome voice. A lot of great albums in this discography. They've been around for 40 years, formed in 1980, 80 or 81, whichever it is, but they've released a lot of really awesome stuff. New Machine of Liechtenstein from 89 is great technical thrash. The guitar playing is insane from Andy Klassen. Sabina and Andy used to be married. They're not anymore, but Andy was an amazing guitar player for the band. He's no longer in with the band anymore. But New Machine, one of the best thrash albums of all time. World Chaos is great. Reborn Dogs. Finished with Dogs from 87. The debut, Queen of Siam, is freaking awesome. Agony of Death, Redefined Mayhem, some really good modern ones. Sabina is the primary lead singer on all of the albums except for one, which the 94 album, No Matter What's the Cause, I don't really know what the heck they were doing. Andy did the vocals, or most of them. Sabina was still there doing like backing vocals on some of the songs, and she did lead vocals on one. But Andy did the rest. Not very good. But all the other albums with Sabina on vocals, for the most part, are freaking amazing. Great thrash. My favorite German thrash band, my favorite band from Germany in general, and one of my favorite bands of all time. And my number 1 female-fronted band of all time, Holy freaking Moses. Criminally underrated. Go check out their stuff. And that does wrap up the list here. So, as usual, let me know what y'all thought. And give me your top 10 in the comments. Your favorite female-fronted metal bands. And until next time, thank you for watching.